Ilham Aliyev, you have just mentioned President Trump. I traveled for 38 hours to come to Shusha. Perhaps the day before yesterday, for 4 days, I worked at a convention of the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin. I will be happy to share my impressions, but I did spend 4 days at the convention, working for my agency, first with a very large number of Republican Party leaders, and then with my colleagues. It really was a very interesting convention. I will say this for the first time. The title of my notes, which are not even ready yet, it was a convention for the creation of a leader, as I called it, because it was very different from the previous Republican conventions, and it was very interesting. But my question is that, frankly speaking, I wouldn't even ask it if I hadn't worked at the convention. But this question is now being asked of President Putin. This question is also being asked of other leaders of different countries, and many leaders are putting this question to themselves. The internal situation in America is not easy. A month ago, it was one. But during this month, the situation in the Democratic Party has changed dramatically. But you, as President of Azerbaijan, on November 6 of this year, on the Wednesday after the first Tuesday after the first Monday, I mean the month, as elections are held according to the Constitution. Who would you prefer to be announced according to the results of the election? On the morning of November 6, this will already be clear. Who would you prefer? I am not even asking you which of the two candidates, because it is already clear with one of the candidates after the Congress. With the second one, there is a certain situation, although I am personally convinced that President Biden will remain in the race.
Thank you for your question. It would probably be not quite appropriate for me to give an absolutely unambiguous answer. I always try and strive to be as sincere as possible in my answers to any audience, be it a representative of the media or a representative of the Azerbaijani public. I do not palter with the truth, but there are certain points related to a concept, such as political culture, that do not allow me to answer your question directly. Although I think your question is absolutely rhetorical. We have known each other for decades. I am absolutely sure that you know perfectly well what preference I would make. And I think I am not the only one in Azerbaijan. As far as we are concerned, of course, we look at this situation through our own prism. The decision will be made by the American people. It is their president that will be elected. But it is also of great importance for the whole world, because the fate of many peoples and countries will largely depend on the decisions that will be made by the first person of the United States. And I think one of the important messages that President Trump has voiced during the campaign, which is still underway, is that there were no wars under his administration. America did not start wars under him. There was no Vietnam, Korea, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Syria. The list could be continued. It was a period in which it didn't happen. Well, it is probably something deserving great respect. And the second thesis is, I do not want to go too much into the details of the topic, as they say, but the second thesis, which is also important, and in this case, first of all, for the United States itself, and countries that are under its direct influence, and this, of course, is a clear position on the issue of traditional values. I think that the absolute majority of the Azerbaijani people not only share this position, but actively promote it and put it into practice. I think if I go any further, it will become quite clear. So I think I should stop for now.
Если я дальше пойду, то уже станет совсем все ясно, поэтому я пока думаю остановлюсь.